Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of ESG Matters with Risk Insights. I'm Anushka Bogdanov, and happy Women's Month to everyone out there. Last week, I had Martin Schuit from Prime Stars sharing his impactful leadership around GBV and youth empowerment. Sad statistics, but food for thought and change. Thank you for all the views and the likes and the continuous support around this podcast. So, Risk Insights created this podcast so that ESG Matters becomes market awareness around Africa, but also to ensure that we are creating impact on ESG reporting as well as emphasizing climate change. So, before I dive into today's podcast, I just wanted to highlight a recent event, which I'm sure many of you have been reading about, but it has had drastic impact on climate change. So, the current heat wave that is being experienced in Florida has caused coral reefs to face unprecedented threat of sudden increase in marine life heat. That is pushing waters to temperatures of about 32 degrees Celsius. Coral bleaching has begun gaining attention after it was first observed in the South Pacific coral reefs in the 1990s. And this is when coral becomes white because of changes in temperature. So, sea surface temperatures around the coast have actually reached the highest levels, which has been recorded by satellites that have been collecting data around the surface temperatures. So, this bleaching is becoming more and more frequent due to climate change. So, it is said that the El Nino is part of the reason of the current heat wave, but also the increased use of oil and coal and natural gas that is causing global warming. So, folks out there, climate change is here. It is extremely serious, and pay attention to how we live sustainably. It's important. Now, getting back to today's podcast, we have Irene Keino, who's joining us. She's an impactful leader and a very dear friend, but also in my orbit. And she's going to be sharing some of her views of women in on leadership for the future. So let me tell you a little bit about Irene and why I am so fond of this woman, this amazing woman. She has experience both in private and public sector in Kenya. She's headed the Anti Corruption Commission and has served on numerous boards over the last two decades, both locally and internationally. So I like to say that she's our Zonda of Kenya. Irene exited the public sector and rejoined the company she set up that specialized in spatial planning, climate change, and environmental management. So you can see why she's one of my favorite people. And she's played a key role in Kenya when the constitution was formed or created in 2010, where she recruited the independent elections boundary commissioners for the commission. And I think what's most amazing is that she received Ron of the Burning Spear for her exemplary experience and service in 2011 from guess who? The late President Kibaki. And that is absolutely amazing to have a trailblazer like her on our podcast today. So thank you, Irene, for joining us. But in 2021, her career shifted slightly because of COVID 19, where she decided to go back to her passion, which is ESG. And she founded Greenco ESG Consultants, which is an ESG advisory company that is made up of a team of spatial planners, independent environmental consultants, and they are all united by one single passion and mission to improve ESG stewardship for Kenya. So, Irene's focus is on supporting women in leadership roles, and she has a passion for inclusivity and corporate boards. And I can promise you that is really true about her. So, thank you, Irene, for joining us today. I'm so honored to have you with us and so humbled. Hi, Irene.
Hi, Anushka. Thank you for having me today on this ESG Matters with Risk Insights podcast.
It is my pleasure. So, Irene, from your perspective and experience, why do you believe that it is important for women to serve on boards, and why is it impactful for women to serve on boards? And what role does collaborative thinking play from a strategy and collective inclusivity point of view?
Well, Anushka, there are so many reasons why women serving on boards is impactful, together with other genders, of course. Women bring unique viewpoints and insights to the table, and by challenging the traditional norms of thinking, they tend to reduce group thinking and increase open discussions, thus leading towards more effective and thoughtful choices. I've seen women on boards create more stronger corporate governance as they often prioritize long term sustainability, risk management, and ethical considerations in different formats. There is an improvement in team dynamics and stronger problem solving when women are on boards. So it's a plus for the organization. Through women on boards, there is an increase in empowerment and increased representation of women in decision making roles. Several researches done that I have had a chance to look at show that more diverse and inclusive organizations also tend to outperform their fellow counterparts in aspects such as financial performance, adaptability, and employee satisfaction.
For sure, Irene. I agree with you. I mean, collective and diverse thinking really does create value, and it mitigates risk, and it also prevents blinkered views. So, from an ESG perspective, increased women representation on the board is really key for this new era of governance. And I think we are seeing this from an ESG reporting perspective. There are so many boards across the world that are ensuring that they're taking into account women so that we can navigate through different barriers because of inclusivity. So, one of the things that I would like to understand from you is do you see these cultural differences and barriers on boards that you've sat on? Have you seen that there's been any issues in terms or challenges from a business perspective or business differences for women? And you've sat on many boards, so can you share some of your perspective and views and some of the optics that you've experienced?
I would love to share some of my views on on the barriers that women continuously face across the continent, and also from my own views as professional experiences serving on boards. I realized that women faced male-dominated boards. There were very few women on boards that I sat on. I also found out that I was very lonely at the top. This loneliness can lead to lack of confidence, and women need to address it before it gets out of hand. It was a challenge trying to adapt towards a business culture that was very different from my usual norm. It was also it is also easy for women to be overshadowed on boards. It can be quite challenging, as you know, we are usually a minority on the board. Being a minority within a minority can also be very daunting. I say this because, from my experience, men usually find it easier to lead at the top or at the board level because they kind of support
Mm-hmm.
each other, which lacks. You find it lacking from women leaders. We are we are such minorities on the board, so there is need for us to integrate our ways of conduct along with including our unique viewpoints within strategy setting sessions. It can also be challenging to gain your confidence back if it takes you a while to address it. But one of the things that helped me to feel as though I had reclaimed my power was actually power dressing, just looking good and powerful. I also found that acknowledging and collaborating with
Mm-hmm.
those who mentored me and opened doors for me helped me to gain the support I needed. Sometimes, as women, we tend to focus on ourselves and forget who supported us at the top. Women need to work together and lift each other from a
Mm-hmm.
corporate, professional perspective. We can strengthen our networks together, provide the tools, and mentor each other. I believe in working together with both genders and create new norms and business practices. Thank you, Anushka.
I completely agree with you, Irene. I think, but about, what I love about what you just said is power dressing. I think many of us do that.
Mhm.
It's seen as armor, right? And we deal with our fears and also different perceptions. So, and very often we don't say it that we're wearing different colors or the way we are dressing in terms of um, suiting up is all about the armor. So thank you for sharing that. I think boldly with everyone. But I also think your views on inclusivity and working together as women, and networking with each other and lifting each other is absolutely critical. So I always think it's an important to pay it forward and continue lifting each other as women. And we are natural born leaders because of our maternal instincts. So we are shaped through our journeys, and they refine us into the leaders that we are. So I just want to touch on, you indicated that women bring in a set of thinking that challenges the business norms and forces us to reevaluate how we conduct ourselves as well as the business practices that we are in, and also to have networks that are inclusive and have empathy and take circumstances into account. I think one of the things that I want to try and understand, and if you want to share with our listeners today, there's been so many women that have broken through all of these
Mm.
barriers, right? And that are doing
Mhm.
some amazing things out there. So, do you want to just touch on that a little bit for us? And you've worked with many of these
Mm.
women.
Thank you, Anushka. It's indeed true that what women go through in terms of barriers that affect them. It's through challenging what we have deemed as our norms and providing different viewpoints is exactly that leads to impact and change. What I mean is that through challenging and bringing in your own experience and expertise, we see so many women across Africa and, of course, the globe too,
Mm-hmm.
who constantly shatter the glass ceiling. Some of those notable women in Africa that I would like to just mention, who are just absolute trailblazers and inspirations, include Tabitha Karanja from Kenya, the founder and
Mm-hmm.
CEO of the first Kenyan owned brewery. She joined politics this year and now
Yeah.
serves as senator representing Nakuru County. I would like to speak about Barbara Ofana Boyondo, who turned her passion into providing quality education for children in her country, Uganda, just next door to us.
Mm-hmm.
Her company operates several educational institutes. And there is Sibongile Sambo, the founder and CEO of the first 100% Black
Mm-hmm.
female owned aviation company in South Africa. And of course, you, Anushka, I say it with so much emotion because I am so elated to have met you. The first female data science company that pioneered ESG GPS for the African continent using machine learning
Oh,
and AI. Very commendable
thank
and
you,
inspiring.
Irene.
Welcome. There are so many women out there who have demonstrated exceptional leadership and resilience. It's these traits that are breaking barriers and carving the path for future generations of women to lead and pursue their passions fearlessly. As you had spoken about business sense in terms of the barriers that women face, when you are fearless and you take advantage of the traits that set you apart, you can actually do anything. One's gender should not limit one's potential for success.
Thank you, Irene. I think you are amazing, and you are truly inspirational leader. I am so humbled to have had you on this podcast, and so is Risk Insights. So, thank you for sharing that and acknowledging so many women, but also ensuring that you are carrying it forward and paying it forward by being inclusive, by promoting other women. So that is always important in terms of living by those values. I just want to pick up on another aspect that you raised with us today, that leadership is situational, right? You are a trailblazer yourself, and you've paved the way for so many other women and also for future generations, because you continue inspiring women, having us to achieve and aim for positions of power and to serve our communities, serve corporate boards, and provide insights that create
Mm.
impact. So I absolutely love what you stand for, and I admire you, and thank you very much for being on
Mhm.
the show again. But finally, what advice do you have for the young female listeners and all other female listeners as well?
I have come up with a 10-point advice for all the young future female leaders who are aspiring to join corporate boards or even areas of leadership. They need one is you need to focus on your attention on a strong educational
Mm-hmm,
foundation and continuous education. This is not only for women but both for both genders. It's very, very important. It is your best. That is what will define you. Build a diverse network of professionals and seek mentorship from those who can guide and help navigate you through your career path. There are many professional associations one can join, and these actually elevate you to enrich your network
mm-hmm,
base. Always believe in yourself and be assertive in pursuing your goals. Voice your opinions and let your perspectives be heard. View each challenge as an opportunity for growth. Don't always fear that, yes, that this is a failure. No, obstacles will strengthen your resilience. Advocate for yourself and make your intentions known. Promote diversity and inclusion in areas that you work in, be it work, be it your
mm-hmm.
networking, and outside even your social life. Be an advocate for those who don't have a voice and empower those around you. I always try at least to elevate a woman below me. It's really a blessing and inspiring. Seek experience. This can be through nonprofit organizations or advisory work. Exposure will help you understand the company dynamics and responsibilities. Of course, stay
Mm-hmm.
committed, be patient. Success is not one step, it's long. Keep your goal in mind and remain patient throughout your journey. We've seen that corporate governance and company dynamics can be complex and they're ever changing. Thus, you need continuous learning about governance principles, regulatory requirements, and industry specific challenges that will be needed. And of course, finally, balance your ambition with purpose and aspire to lead, but always aim to make a positive impact through your work. To sum up this very important section, your gender is not a limitation. Allow your skills and expertise and determination to define your success. Embrace your unique qualities and use your diverse perspectives as leverage. Women should always be true to themselves, be bold, and strive for excellency. Remember, you have the potential to be exceptional leaders and inspire positive change in the corporate landscape.
Yeah, yeah, Irene, thank you very much. Such power and impact. You are truly an inspirational young female leader. And you're an inspirational young female leader for leaders across the globe. So I am so delighted that I had you on the show today. It's been so refreshing to see how one can be inspiring, not only for women of today, but for all people and all genders. So, how one person can pave the way for future generations of women in leadership. So, thank you, Irene, for joining us. And I am so inspired. And I hope you, the listeners, are as inspired as I am.
Anushka, it's always a pleasure, and thank you once again for having me.
There you have it, listeners. We've had Irene Keino from Kenya, an absolutely inspirational woman and a woman of such strong caliber. We can see that ESG is gaining traction and it's gaining momentum. inclusivity of women on boards is a driving factor as well. And another aspect of ESG that is gaining momentum from an accounting perspective was the S1 and S2 regulations that were passed on the 26th of June by the IFRS. So thank you, Dr. Ndidi Noli Indozien, for unpacking this for Africa and at the ESG GPS launch for Ghana and Botswana. Thank you, Irene Keino, for joining us today. And a super thank you to you, the listeners, for the support, the likes, and the comments. And should you have any insights that you want to share with me, please pop your comment, and I'm going to start providing that to the audiences out here. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. And join me again next week for another episode of ESG Matters with Risk Insights. So, ladies, set those audacious SMART goals and keep moving forward. Talk soon, and ciao for now.